Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
General Hospital spoilers and updates indicate that Scout Quartermain will partake a sincere concession during an auto lift with Willow Kane. Drew was ignorant of his son's sadness and her disappointment about not being suitable to see her aunts and grandmother. Willow tried to convince Drew to let Scout have family time, seeing how worried Scout was about missing Alexis Davis and her aunts for the leaves. Willow tried to convert Drew Kane to yield and let Scout have some family time. The show didn't clarify whether he agreed or not, as the coming scene showed him going to Windmere after being called by Jen Sidwell. Soon later, Willow took Scout to Alexis' house, where Scout joyfully ran to hail her grandmother and also Christina Corinthos Davis and Molly Lansing Davis. It was a touching moment that Willow eased, but it'll end far too soon. The visit will probably be short. It seems Drew didn't allow Scout to stay overnight or have a long visit, if he indeed agreed at all. The show participated a print of Willow in her auto with Scout sitting in the passenger seat. From Willow's concerned look, it appears Scout is ready to talk to her mammy again. Spoilers indicate that Willow will discover a secret on December 29th, which might connect to what Scout is about to reveal. In any case, Scout will entrust in Willow and may express her discomfort with the changes in her dad. One can fluently picture Scout admitting that Drew feels like a different person and that she struggles to partake her true passions with him. Scout might indeed tell Willow she wishes she could live with Alexis. Scout might indeed confess that she wishes she could live with Alexis or commodity analogous. Drew has changed and isn't the same man presently, which is affecting his youthful son. Perhaps Willow will assure Scout that she'll take care of her and keep trying to help Drew come a gentler interpretation of himself. Scout needs her family around, so Willow might fate this and promise to do everything possible to ensure Scout sees them. Willow is getting more defensive of Scout, likely in medication for the big shooter reveal. It seems probable that Willow also set Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star as Scout's ringtone on her phone. It could have been Willow's phone ringing when Drew was shot. When Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson heard that air, they might have actually been hearkening to Willow's phone ringing. All these scenes with Scout and Willow could lead to the show revealing the verity about the ringtone soon. Indeed, though it was plain in the scenes where Drew was shot that he didn't see his bushwhacker, he presumably heard that ringtone. Anyhow, General Hospital spoilers indicate that Scout and Willow have another relating moment coming up, so stay tuned for any important updates that may arise. It began like a quiet whisper in the backseat of a car, one of those moments where life forces you to grow up long before you're ready, where childhood innocence gets baptized in cold reality. Scout Quartermain, sitting stiffly with her hands knotted in her lap, carried a weight no child should bear. Willow Kane, who had become something between a guardian angel and a barrier against emotional collapse, sensed it before a single word was spoken. Her eyes swept toward the passenger seat, noticing how Scout stared out the window with her chest tightening, refusing to blink because blinking might lead to tears, and tears might unravel everything. General Hospital spoilers warned that what was shared on that drive wasn't merely a confession, it was a cry for help, a desperate, trembling truth that could destroy a father, crack a family, and ignite a storyline of emotional consequences that refuses to be silenced. Drew Kane never saw it coming, because Drew never really looked anymore. His transformation, his rage, his stern divide between himself and anyone who questioned him, it all created a version of him that Scout hardly recognized. He fathered her, but somewhere along the lines of anger, survival mode, and choices steeped in moral ash, he had become a stranger wearing her father's face. And that is what drove this entire moment, the baptism of truth. Scout's story began with something so small it should have been manageable. She wanted a holiday. She wanted hugs. Familiar laughter. A grandmother who smelled like cinnamon tea and love. Aunts who once whispered silly stories about the Cassadines and Corinthos clan while brushing her hair. She wanted family, that simple, beautiful thing that should have been her right. Drew, distracted by his own battles, barely even acknowledged her ache. What she saw instead was a wall made of adult concerns, prison-style emotional lockdown, and shadows of decisions not meant for young eyes. Willow, always watching, stepped in. She saw the pain Drew overlooked. She understood heart disappointment on a bone-deep level. And so she tried. She tried to reason. She tried to soften Drew. She tried to make him stop being a soldier and, just for a moment, be a father. But the show never told us whether Drew agreed. One scene he was listening, jaw clenched and eyes like frosted steel. The next? He was already gone. He was summoned to Windmere by Jen Sidwell, answering some call that prioritized his war over his daughter's wishes. And so Willow did what mothers, true mothers, always do. She found a way anyway. General Hospital revealed the next visual like a soft-lit prayer. Willow's car parked outside Alexis Davis's home. The door flung open, and Scout didn't walk, she ran. Arms wide. Heart flying. Straight into her grandmother's embrace. There they were, Alexis, Christina Corinthos Davis, Molly Lansing Davis, a trio of love, support, and history that Scout yearned for. She was home. But only for a blink. Because almost instantly, the shadow of temporary hovered over the moment. Drew had not allowed an overnight stay, or perhaps he had refused entirely, and Willow moved carefully through a loophole, unsure if she was committing treason by letting a child be loved. The clock on that visit had teeth, ready to bite the moment joy got too deep. So soon after laughter began, so did the goodbye. And in that goodbye, something inside Scout cracked wide open, creating space for a confession to pour out later with wildfire inevitability. In the car again. Willow's face was tight, her hands gripping the wheel, her breath steady but uneasy. She glanced sideways. Scout sat rigidly, lips pressed tight, staring straight ahead, as though the world outside her window was safer than the world inside her chest. This was it. General Hospital spoilers confirm, December 29th is the date everything changes. Because Willow will discover a secret tied to what Scout let slip from her trembling lips. And the secret? It doesn't roar. It whispers. Not a single shouted word, just a soft sentence that cuts deeper than screams. Dad, he's not my dad anymore. Not really. That's the soul of her confession. The truth she was afraid to speak. She tried to phrase it gently. Because children are always trying to protect the adults who should be protecting them. She stuttered. Paused. Looked down. Picked at the hem of her sweater. But eventually her heart pushed past fear and formed clarity. Drew feels different. He feels angry. He doesn't listen. He doesn't see me. I don't know how to talk to him anymore. And then the dagger Willow never expected. Sometimes, I wish I could live with Grandma. That one sentence, baptized in childhood longing, held more emotional violence than any slap or scream could manage. Willow swallowed the storm inside her. Because she knew what it meant for a child to feel unwanted, unheard, unseen. She would never let Scout drown in that. She hooked her voice into gentleness, smoothing every edge before she spoke. Scout, you matter. You have value. You are not alone. I am here. Your family is here. And I will not let your heart suffer in silence. Encouragement became her sword. Her whispered vows were baptisms in their own right, anointing Scout with reassurance, even as Willow herself struggled with the secret weight she carried. She might soon learn Scout has a connection to something darker, something involving a shooter, a ringtone, a mistaken identity that could explode like dynamite. Aloud, but burning beneath. Inside Willow grew a second fire, not soft like her comforting words, but furious. An adult rage, mother rage. Protector rage. The kind that takes a vow. If Drew continues to fail this child, I will not let him have her. That thought wasn't spoken. But it pulsed. She would not watch Scout slowly disappear into emotional neglect. She would fight. Even if the enemy was the child's own father. General Hospital fans already know, a seemingly innocent lullaby, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, is more than a melody. It may be a fingerprint. During the moment Drew was shot, Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson heard that tune. Fans believed it came from Scout's device. But now? There's a twist. The show hints that it may have actually been Willow's phone. Think about that. If Drew heard the ringtone, but didn't see the attacker. His dying, fading consciousness brain might attach violence to the sound of his daughter's lullaby. A lullaby that Willow said intentionally, because she wanted Scout to feel safe. Irony sharper than any knife. Bonding moments on GH are never just warm endings, they're chess moves. These scenes of Willow and Scout aren't filler. They're setup. Setup for heartbreak. Setup for betrayal. Setup for a reveal where someone will be blamed, and someone will pay. Because spoilers insist. Right Arrow Willow is becoming fiercely protective. Right Arrow Scout will not keep silent anymore. Right Arrow Drew's transformation will cost someone their peace. Right Arrow and soon, a storm of blame, guilt, and accusation will crash. There will be shouting. Doors slammed. Families split. Judges and custody battles threatening to erupt. From Drew, from Willow, from Alexis, even from Scout herself, once she finds her power. Because a baptized child no longer whispers. She rises. She demands. She becomes her own voice. The emotional structure of this storyline echoes a spiritual ceremony. A child steps into the truth, washed clean of silence, no longer hiding pain. Willow becomes the one who pours blessing, hope, strength into Scout, vowing she will not drown. Spoken silently, or soon to be spoken aloud, they will shape the battlefield ahead. This isn't merely a scene. It is the transformation of a family. A reckoning. Because GH will not let this pass quietly. In the next episodes, expect Willow secretly meeting Alexis, begging for emotional strategy. Drew snapping when he discovers Scout confided in someone else. Scout possibly breaking down and shouting the sentence she feared most. I don't feel safe with you anymore. A courtroom threat, custody war looming. The shooter mystery tightening around Willow. And the lullaby ringtone becoming evidence. Scout has been baptized into truth. Willow has been baptized into responsibility. And Drew will be baptized into consequence. At Laura's house, Kevin was amazed at how Laura always put away her own issues to come through for her family. She attributed it to the capability to categorize. Laura had come extremely professed at pushing her painful circumstances to the reverse burner to be stalwart for her family. Laura promised not to allow her wrathfulness towards Sidwell ruin their family vacation. She participated a warm grasp, and they entered a knock at the door, and Lulu appeared, adjoined by Charlotte and Rocco. Lulu revealed they set up someone differently in the hall, and it was Sunny in a Santa chapeau. Laura ate him in and offered a drink. Sunny didn't have plans to stay long, but he wanted to see Laura and the family. They were both relieved that Rocco had bettered since being released from the juvenile detention center. Laura asked if covering up Dalton's murder was worth it, and he believed that it was. They could eventually move forward and bring peace to their grandson. Sunny spoke to Kevin, and he was surprised by Kevin's gratefulness for how he came to her deliverance. Sunny was glad that Kevin was back in city and could come to his woman's aid. Sunny was confident that they'd make it through the fire on the other side. Laura thanked Lulu for making an appearance, and they were pleased with how both children were thriving. Rocco and Charlotte had a tumultuous many months, but they were eventually moving forward in a positive manner. When no bone was hearkening, Charlotte commended to Rocco that she had the chance to see Valentine. He looked equivocal about how to handle it. Drew telephoned Martin to hold the spin on the PR content about Portia's evidence to repair his character. Scout approached Willow while Drew was on the call, and she wanted to give Alexis and her aunt's presents that she made for them. Scout said how important she missed her mama since she passed down, and while she understood that she couldn't change that, it was different with the rest of her living family. Willow prompted Drew to hear to his son's passions. Scout wanted to spend time with her grandmother and the rest of her family, but Drew was the single handicap standing in the way. Willow suggested they allow Scout to spend the night with Alexis. She appreciated how devoted Drew was to her defense, but he didn't care. He refused to renege on his influence toward Alexis. Willow didn't want to be responsible for Scout's unhappiness and contended with him to do it for her. At the Quartermain mansion, Tracy's attempt to relax and read was baffled by Leo and Wiley's attempt at show and tell. Cody allowed the children to deliver a frog, but thankfully, Michael and Brooke Lynn successfully located it. Tracy asked him to stay to do some work, but he'd plans with Molly. Cody wished Tracy a delinquent Merry Christmas, and she sounded ready for the vacation to end. Tracy got emotional recalling how important Christmas was to Monica, and she easily plotted to celebrate the first big vacation at the manse without her. Ned thanked Olivia for treating his mama with respect, especially in her state of grief, and Olivia confessed that she'd grown to love her over the times. She expressed that Ned's health dread was a wake-up call to her, and she demanded to put a renewed emphasis on spending time with her family. Gio and Emma arrived for the family festivity, and Ned told his grandson that Tracy planned to go out of her way to make him feel welcome. Back in the living room, Michael promised Tracy that the person they had preliminarily bandied was still verified as the father. Sonny was revealed to be the surprised guest, and Ned rumored to him that it arrived. Brooke Lynn offered Tracy an out, knowing it might be inviting for her. Still, she wanted to completely embrace Monica's spirit and do Christmas the way that she always had. Leo came barreling into the living room, with Joe's gift in his hand, telling Ned that he forgot to give Gio his gift. There was no mistaking that it was a violin, and Gio looked nonplussed by the appearance of the instrument. Sonny explained that they wanted to stay until Gio was ready before they blessed him the violin. Leo was patient and refused to let it go. Wiley refocused out that Tracy missed Monica and would love to witness a violin performance from Gio. Brooke Lynn locked eyes with Gio, wishing she could do commodity to save her son from the uncomfortable moment. Gio took in the moment and looked hardly at the violin. He walked into another room and started blubbing uncontrollably. Brooke Lynn went after him and flashed back how she smashed his former instrument at the nanny's ball after learning who his parents were. She assured him and made it clear that he'd get through it. Gio began playing, and everyone in the Quartermain mansion was overcome with emotion. His gift crushed the moment, and he was fully back in his element. After his performance, Trakti thanked him for playing and said it was beautiful. The two participated a deep clinch, completely integrating him more into the family. Meanwhile, Molly and Christina dropped by Alexis' house, and they were thrilled to spend the day with Alexis. The girls claimed that Alexis take a break from the case to relax after working lifelessly to free Willow. A lot was riding on the outgrowth of the case. She was certain that Drew would permanently remove Scout from their lives and take her to DC. Molly explained the significance of resting, and Alexis was alive about taking any semblance of a break from revamping Willow's defense. She decided to take a break, and they entered a knock at the door. Miley went to see who it was, and formerly she dropped to the bottom. Cody asked if it was a bad time to drop by, which led Molly to invite him inside to join the ladies in their romantic movie binge. Alexis demanded that Christina bring her into the kitchen, so Molly and Cody could have a moment alone. Once nothing was around, Cody asked Molly to ring in the new time with him, and she agreed to and planted a passionate kiss on him. There was another knock at the door, and this was the most welcome surprise of all. Willow was there with Scout, allowing her to spend time with her family and giving her the Christmas gift she wanted further than anything differently. At Windmere, Marco helped Lucas put on the finishing traces for Sidwell's Boxing Day party. Lucas was happy that they were together, and Pascal overheard on their discussion, likely conniving. Lucy was the first guest to arrive, and she thanked Sidwell for his lavish Christmas gift diamonds, which, commonly, are Lucy's stylish friend. Putatively, Ava was formerly in attendance, which came as a surprise to Lucy. Ava spoke to Lucas about his relationship with Marco, and he wanted to be there for his swain since it was the first Christmas without Natalia. Ava was thrilled that her whoreson set up love, but Lucas had reservations about Pascal. He knew there was commodity off about him, but he couldn't prove anything. Sidwell and Marco claimed that Pascal was independent, and he wouldn't be going anywhere. Jordan was the coming guest to arrive, and Sidwell demanded her to get to work. They were concerned that their coming guest, Drew, wouldn't be re-elected if his woman could not beat the murder charge. Ava spoke to Jordan, and Ava incontinently brought up the ongoing extremity between Curtis and Portia. Ava made it clear about her constancy to Trina, putatively putting Jordan on notice. Ava and Lucy traded dabs toward each other, with the latter's jealous band coming out. Pascal informed everyone that Drew had officially made his way onto the islet. Ava apologized for potentially leaving Lucy out, and she didn't believe Lucy was endured in art and culture. She promised not to speak to Sidwell about art when Lucy was around. Ava refused to allow Lucy to help her from doing business with Sidwell.